Good day, grade 8s. Today we are going to cover the first part of the solar system. We will do the second part in the next lesson, and we are going to focus on the objects around the sun. So what does our solar system look like? We know that the sun is at its center. So the sun rotates or spins at the center of the solar system. But 8 planets and a lot of other objects also orbit the sun, and they are all moving in the same direction. So we can see the planets, there's an asteroid belt, there are more planets, dwarf planets, comets, there's the Kuiper belt as well. So there are many different objects that orbit the sun. And then these objects or celestial bodies, they don't just drift off into space. They are all held together or held in their orbits through the gravitational force the sun exerts on all of these planets and objects. So gravity keeps everything together and in their orbits. And if you look at our solar system from outer space, it will look like a plate or a flat disk. And there you can see the sun with all the planets orbiting it, and then other celestial bodies that is also visible. Now let's look at the 8 planets first. We know that the 8 planets and their moons orbit the sun. It's not only Earth that has a moon. Many of the other planets also have moons, and not just one, many more. Now the first thing that you need to know is that the planets are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. And then you can remember this sentence to help you remember them in the correct order from closest to the sun to furthest away. It's my very educated mother just served us noodles. So remember that sentence. And then the first letter of each word then must remind you of a specific planet. So my, starting with an M, is for Mercury. Very, V is for Venus. Educated, E is for Earth. M for mother is then reminds you of Mars. J is for Jupiter. S is for Saturn. U is Uranus. And N for the noodles is for Neptune. So this is the correct order: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, the first 4 planets. Then Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, the last 4 planets. And then you know about Pluto, but Pluto is only a dwarf planet. It's not regarded as a planet because it has not cleared its orbit from other objects. Pluto is moving together with many other dwarf planets and other objects in the Kuiper belt, there on the outer edges of the solar system, so it's not regarded as a planet. Then there are mainly 2 types of planets: terrestrial planets and gas giants. The first 4 planets, which are closer to the sun and much smaller, they have solid rocky surfaces, and that is why we call them terrestrial planets. And then the last 4, from Jupiter to Neptune, they are called the gas giants because they mainly consist of gas. So remember that: terrestrial planets and then the gas giants. Now I'm going to very shortly highlight one property of each planet that you must know. If we look at Mercury, the very first planet closest to the sun, has basically no atmosphere. And it has very extreme temperatures. It's either very hot or very cold on Mercury, and that is the planet with the most extreme temperatures of all the planets. Venus, the second planet from the sun, is the hottest planet because of its specific atmosphere, but it's also called the morning and the evening star. So when the sun sets in the afternoon, the first bright star that you see in the evening, that is the evening star, it's Venus, and then you can also see that in the morning. Earth, the third planet from the sun, there's Earth, and it orbits the sun in that third orbit from the sun. Is the only planet that can support life in our solar system. That's the only planet that we know of that can support life. And because water covers about 71% of Earth's surface, it's also called a blue planet. So if you're in a space shuttle somewhere in space, and then you will see Earth, and Earth will have this blue color due to the oceans covering 71% of its surface. Mars is the red planet. It's called the red planet because the surface of Mars is actually a dry red desert. So that is why it has this red appearance if you look at it through a telescope. Jupiter is the biggest planet, and it's famous for this great red spot on its surface. That great red spot is a hurricane that's been going on for thousands of years on the surface of Jupiter. And then Saturn is definitely most known for its wonderfully, beautifully ring system around it. Then Uranus is a quite peculiar planet because it spins on its side, and Neptune then is the furthest from the sun, and because it has so much methane in its atmosphere, it also tends to have this blue color. So you can see that these planets also have rings. It's not only Saturn. All the gas giants have rings around it, but Saturn has the most obvious ring system around it. Then you must also know about the asteroid belt and the Kuiper belt. The asteroid belt is between Mars and Jupiter. So there between Mars and Jupiter, you find the asteroid belt, and the asteroid belt consists of thousands of small rocky objects. And that's also where meteors will come from, but we will talk about that in the next, in one of our next lessons. The Kuiper belt is on the very far edge of our solar system, past the orbit of Neptune, and because it's so very far away from the sun, the Kuiper belt consists of millions of icy objects, things that are frozen, so like frozen gases and icy objects. And then Pluto, there's Pluto. Pluto is also found, and it's also part of the Kuiper belt. It moves in that same region. Then we also have comets, these bright icy objects that when they come closer to the sun and they heat up, they develop a white tail, and those are called comets. Now, comets are icy objects, and they come from either the Kuiper belt or the Oort cloud, very far away from our sun. But when they come closer, then they develop this white tail, and then sometimes we can see them from the Earth. So make sure that you know the asteroid belt, consisting of rocky objects, is between Mars and Jupiter, but the Kuiper belt is very far beyond the orbit of Neptune, and that one consists of icy objects, and that's also where we find Pluto. Okay, so I hope you learned a lot, and now you can have some fun by completing the quiz. See, there's the QR code and the link, and I hope you can get full marks, full 10 out of 10 for the quiz. So have fun and good luck with the quiz.